Okay, good evening once again. Discuss discuss two main topics, and that is cost of capital, which is under financing decision, and then we should also look at capital budgeting, which is investment decision. Okay, so I'll start with the I think it's the easiest, the cost of capital, for two reasons. That one, you just use formulas. Okay, that these are formulas that you know. You should be knowing, at least as you enter an exam. You should know, and then you apply. So that's why I believe that cost of capital is one of those fairly easy numbers. If you practice a few numbers, you'll be good to go. So these formulas I was trying to type here, and you're aware that the financing decision has two, or what you call the capital structure, has two elements under it. Okay, that you have to know that all businesses usually do leveraging or use of debt alongside equity. So we should always have our capital structure will always be, our capital structure will always be having two items. Okay, where you look at debt and then equity. Right. So because we have both debt and equity, you can't use cost of debt as your cost of capital generally, or you would say you're going to use your cost of equity as the only debt generally. So what we do is we normally try to find the average or the weighted average, so that the cost of debt are combined to give us now the aggregate weighted average cost of capital. Okay, so but before you get there, you must appreciate how you get cost of debt, what you call specific cost of debt or specific cost of an item under the capital structure. So I'll begin with debt and vis-a-vis preferred shares, because they are so similar with the formulas. Okay, so that for debt,
I'm in a meeting, a discussion. You're disturbing.
Okay, I was saying that for debt, you have both redeemable and irredeemable. So the difference between the two is that for redeemable, you will pay back the principal amount at some point, and then for irredeemable, you may not pay back the principal amount. Okay, so that's the main difference between redeemable debt and irredeemable. Then maybe the difference between debt and equity. We said debt attracts interest, whereas equity attracts dividends. Okay, so that's the main difference between debt and equity. And a few other things that you will read, know what's the difference between debt and equity, and why would you prefer to use debt rather than equity, and all those, they're there. Okay, so for now, I want to really concentrate on the computations. So I was saying that you need to know that this is redeemable and irredeemable debt. Now, for redeemable debt, like I already said, you're going to recover, or you're going to pay back this money after a specific period of time that you have agreed upon. So the formula is clear. It always has an n in it, because the n shows the period that you're going to take for you to pay back this principal amount. So like I already said, something that you know or you don't. Okay. So we're saying that cost of debt, which is KD, is equal to interest, which is usually fixed, because if you go to say bank for a loan, the bank will give you a fixed rate, and then they'll tell you be paying, you're getting a loan of maybe 20 M at a 10% interest rate. So the interest rate will give you the interest, because when you apply the 10% times the principal amount, you'll get the interest. Okay, so we're saying it's equal to interest plus 1 over n, and the n is the period you're going to take to complete the loan. Then okay guys, as soon as you join. So I was saying then F naught is the face value of the item or of the debt instrument you're looking at. If it is bank, you're looking at the face value of the bank amount in your balance sheet or in your statements. Okay, if the loan is 20 million, that's the liability you have, or you're showing in your balance sheet. We're saying that figure that you show is what you call the face value. Then the P note is usually varying because the market value. So several loans may vary in value because of the fact that depending on similar loans elsewhere, the value of that particular loan may be different. So the P note is one that usually changes. Okay. However, whenever I don't give you the P note, then you say that the F note is equal to P note. Okay. Then T is for tax, then a half, then F note I will explain. So that's the formula. Okay, something you must know. Actually, if you know this formula, then you also know preference shares, redeemable preference shares. The only difference is that for preference shares, more of an equity item, but not equity still, but they pay dividends and not interest. Okay, so what changes here is just the dividend item. Then we go to irredeemable. Irredeemable is, I think, short, easy formula. Okay, that we say cost of debt is equal to interest, which I will explain how to get. You get the rate times the principal amount, then divide by the P note. P note, I already said, it's the market value. They usually give you this figure. It's not the face value. Okay. However, if it's not given, like I said, you use the face value. Okay. Then 1 minus T. Okay, maybe to explain the 1 minus T. For all debt, because the main difference between debt and equity is the fact that debt has interest, whereas equity has dividends. Now, debt comes with an advantage that we call the tax shield. Okay, that because interest is deducted from profit before tax, so that they charge tax on that figure, it always creates a tax shield. Okay, maybe if I'm to elaborate that, we're saying that for debt, we have a tax shield. Okay, now, how this tax shield comes is that if you have gross profit, I'm beginning from up somewhere, but I'm sure you click. If you have gross profit, maybe of how much? Let's say 10,000. And then you deduct operating expenses, other operating expenses. Okay, say 4,000. Okay, so when it's like this, what you're going to have here, the profit before interest and tax, okay, would be 6,000. Then when you deduct the interest, comes from the data, the debt, saying, assuming it is how much? Assuming it's maybe 4,000 as well. Okay, let me use a different figure. Assuming it is 2,500. Okay, what you get as profit before tax is this will be 3,500. Okay, then on this figure, the profit before tax is where we charge the tax rate, assuming the tax rate is 10%. Okay, for simplicity of application, yeah, the tax will be 350. Okay, now, what if we didn't have interest? How would it be? How would it look like? Now you'd have 10,000. Okay, then keeping this at a constant because our interest is on the interest. You have that your profit before tax will be, and interest will be 6,000. But if you didn't have interest, okay, assuming interest was 0, you would have your profit before tax as 6,000. Okay, so meaning that your tax now, because we charge the rate on the profit before tax, it will be 600. Okay, so what does this imply? It means that for you having interest, if you have interest, your tax will always be reduced in a way. Okay, that's what you call a tax shield. Now, the difference between the two is the tax shield that this 2500 has brought to you as an entity. Okay, so I hope we are fine till that part. Now, coming back to this, that's why we normally add 1 minus tax. We're trying to reduce the cost of debt by the tax shield element. Now, the cost of debt can't be very expensive because tax will always be reduced anyway. All right, so that's where there's the main difference between dividends and interest, hence equity and debt. Okay, that if somebody had gotten debt, I would say in this scenario, we're going to assume that maybe they needed, this guy got a debt of maybe 2.5. Okay, 2.5, 25,000. Okay. Okay, sources of funds. So the fund, you're saying in scenario 1, somebody got 25,000. What is simpler rate? Let's say somebody got maybe 25 M. Okay, 250. Okay, at an interest rate of interest rate of 1%. So what he would pay in interest would have been, so if this was the bank loan, that's how we ended up paying 2,500 as the interest. Okay, from this. That's scenario 1. Now scenario 2, to get the same amount, 250,000. Okay, at maybe as equity, yeah, he issued shares and he got this as the amount. Okay, so in case he paid any dividend, say during the period, still using the 1%, his dividend will never reflect on this scenario. Okay, it's only debt that reflects. So that's the main difference. That for scenario A, if this was BA, he got a debt as a loan. Okay, he got fines in the form of a loan, and what happened is he had to pay interest up to 5. But this interest comes with an advantage of a tax shield of over 250,000. Whereas this person who got equity, the same debt, incurred the same dividend, 1%, he paid it, but it wouldn't reduce his tax. Okay, so that's where the difference comes in between debt and equity. So having said that, let me go back to where we are in the formulas. Respond some chats before I continue. Okay. So if you may continue now. So this is for debt and redeemable and irredeemable. Okay, those are the formulas. We can look at preference shares. Now, preference shares, by for this debt.
Excuse me, Andrew.
Bonds, bank loan.
Excuse me, Andrew.
Yeah.
Are we solving a particular question, or you're just discussing the determination of weighted average cost of capital? Because I'm sort of lost.
No,
did you share a question?
In this case, not the question yet. The question is coming.
Oh, you're just taking us through it?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So for that, we have examples. You have bonds, bank loans, long-term debt. Long-term debt, and also have actually redeemable preference shares. They also fall in. Okay, so that's how we deal with debt. Then you can look at equity. For equity, something's down here. Let me see. For preference shares, the formulas remain the same. Preference, you have redeemable and irredeemable. That for redeemable, it will be just like debt is. Okay, the only difference that you have now dividends instead of interest. Okay, then for redeemable, it will be the same story, just like debt. You have this, but instead of interest, you have dividends divided by P naught. Okay, and maybe I think to comment is that for preference shares, because they pay dividends, you don't have tax shield. So we don't put the 1 minus T for preference shares. Okay. Then finally, we're going to look at equity. Okay, equity is where we look at mainly shares, issue of shares, ordinary shares. The cost of equity given by div1. Div1 is the expected dividend. The dividend you're going to pay, okay? Not the previous one, but the one you're going to pay. So it's expected dividend of P naught minus small f. Okay, this is flotation cost. Then the whole we add ag or the growth rate. So maybe the other thing also to emphasize that for preference shares, you also have flotation cost. Sometimes you have flotation cost. So the P naught will always be affected. Okay, just to emphasize. But since the shares, we may incur flotation cost. Flotation cost is a cost we incur in making a sell or in issuing the shares. Okay, they vary from brokers to legal fees and all those. So in case we have flotation costs, then our P naught will still be P naught minus flotation costs. Okay, so these are the formulas. So what I'm going to do is now we're going to see a question and see how we can apply it. Okay, hope there are no questions regarding this so far. Okay. And the question is not very fast, just this very one. Okay. So there's a question here, question 1. You want it to compute weighted average. Okay, maybe to emphasize, I think I'll explain that when I get there. So for now, let's first deal with how we can compute the cost of capital for each line or each item. What are the flotation costs? Just say that flotation costs costs we incur in case of issue of shares. That whenever we issue preference shares, maybe to talk about ordinary shares. For ordinary shares, we have what we call issue of the prospectus, okay, into the public so that guys can subscribe to the shares. Now, any cost we incur in trying to sell the shares don't amount to flotation costs. Okay. In case there's anything like legal fees incurred, in case there's anything like advertising costs incurred, we're saying those costs are flotation costs. I don't know. I hope I've answered you on that. What do they mean when they say preference share capital predetermined? Do they say preference share capital predetermined or the cost of preference shares? I think they say the cost of preference share capital is predetermined. That one means that you don't do anything. The figure they gave you there, if they're saying 10% preference share capital, then they give you 20 million. They're saying that 10% is already determined for you as the cost of preference shares. So don't compute for it, just use it. Okay, Angela, I hope I've answered you in that regard. Okay, so they normally say cost of preference share capital. Okay, good. So if you may proceed. Now this is the question, okay? I said I will talk about weighted average cost capital when you finish this one. Because you first deal with specific cost of capital, then use those to get weighted average cost of capital. Good. So I'll start by looking out for debt first. Okay. So for debt, we have a 15% term loan of 12.5 million. Okay, in dollars. Now for debt, the formula is loans. You know that those are redeemable debt. Eh? So when you go to the formula, yeah, they're saying it is interest plus 1/n blah blah. Okay. Now when you come and look for information regarding debt, okay, cost of debt, say did they give you the period in which to be redeemed? Did they give you the market value? Okay. In case they don't give you those, in case you don't have information that fits well in the formulas, you take the rate given as the cost of debt. Okay, how do I mean by that? You see this this loan here, it's 15% term loan. But in the additional information, if you look for any information regarding it, nothing was given. They didn't say that maybe the 15% term loan has maybe 4 years redeemable. Its market value is maybe now maybe 500 shillings per note. Okay, you don't have that information, so you can't fill this formula. So you take the cost of debt of the loan as 15%. So the cost of debt, like that, cost of debt of loan, we're saying you take it as a 15% rate given, but yeah, the thing is you're supposed to adjust for the interest, the tax shield. So you get that and multiply it by 1 minus the tax shield. So the rate will always be given, which is 35%. Okay, so for the loan, therefore, it is as easy as that. Someone can help us compute the calculator there and give me the figure here. Okay, so that is for the loan. That you know the formula, yes, but the information given is not enough for me to apply my formula. And because of that, I'll take the rate given and adjust for the tax shield. As simple as that. Okay. We can look at the debentures, which falls well under redeemable and has some good information. Okay. Because they say debentures redeemable after 6 years and are selling at 8,000 per debenture. Okay. So you have good information. So you can apply this formula. All right. So if I may carry it, are you seeing what I'm typing? It looks small. Try to increase. Okay. I hope it's better now. No one complained, so here I think you are doing fine. Okay, so for the loan, allow me to scroll it down, but otherwise this is how you get it. Somebody share with me the figure for cost of loan that you have quoted. 15% times open brackets 1 minus 35% close brackets. What do you get on the calculator? Okay, someone gets me the figure, you can just scroll this down and you get to cost of venture. Cost of the debenture, you're saying it is interest plus. So as you look at it, you can try to extract items. So let's begin with interest. What's the figure? So for the interest, you'll see that it is 13.5% of 10 million. Okay. Or you would use the par value. Now in this case, you have 12,000, and the selling price is also a par value amount, 8,000. So you could use still 13.5% times 12,000. Okay, so let's use that because I think it's easier. Okay. So we're saying 13% times the first value, which is 12,000 given. Okay. How much should help us get these values? Because that's how we shall all not sleep. Okay. So that is interest. Then the other value I'm interested in is the N. The N was given as 6. You can all see it here, 6 years. So you say N is N6. The next thing is F naught. Okay, F naught is 12,000. Okay, the first value. Then P naught. P naught, it was given in the question as saying it is selling at, now that's the market value. Okay, the ventures redeemable after 6 years are selling at 8,000. Now that one becomes your P naught. So 8,000. Okay, so as you see, your formula, you're getting all the items. You have interest, you have N, you have F naught, you have P naught, you even have T, okay, which was given as 35, the tax rate.
Yeah, Bambi.
Okay, I hope you can all extract that information as I've done. Okay. All right, so that is the easiest way I could do this one. Then you substitute in the formula. So if I may substitute in the formula, so the same way there's interest, I'll put, what figure did you get for interest? Since you don't want to say anything, it's fine. Let me be done to do. Interest. Rona, is that interest or 13.5%? Yeah, I have 1,620. Confirm. N is 6. F naught is as it is 12,000. And so is PN. Okay, then the tax, the T is 35%, so that is 0.35. I hope we are together. Here, let me substitute. Okay. Yeah, I thought so too. Okay, so what you get as the final answer, try to process calculators on your own and be sure to get those figures. Okay. I'm having 14.8, actually 0.9%. Okay, what do you have? The final answer. Okay, are you all having 14.9%? You can confirm. So guys, that is how we determine or we compute bond or any form of debt, as long as the information is given and it is redeemable. If they say it is redeemable or how do you call it? If you don't say redeemable, you say what? Paid back, yeah? Paid back after 6 years or after 5 years. If that's the case and it's debt, that's the formula and that's how you apply it. Let's look at another item. Okay. For the loan, the answer is for the loan, the answer is 9.7. That's 9.8%. Okay. Let's look at another item. The other item is, now we can look at preference shares. Okay. The order doesn't matter really. I'm just trying to just look at what I've just discussed first. Now for preference shares, still you look at it and confirm, is it redeemable or irredeemable? Okay, that's very important. Now, when you check the notes, they're saying preference stock or shares, I think, they are redeemable. Okay, so if they are redeemable and the N is 10 years, currently selling at 7.5, 7,500, sorry, and it's per share. Whenever they say per share, try to stick to per share. It's easier to compute it. It's easy to compute from there. They're saying per share and you have per share here. So why do you have to use the totals? Okay. So use per share. Therefore, I'll bring my formulas here. Where is it? Okay, redeemable. Okay, let me bring it up. So this is the formula, it is redeemable. So same story, you just try to extract information. So for preference shares, the dividends. So D note is usually the rate, which is 11% times the face value, okay, 10,000. So 11% times 10,000. Okay, this is per share, like I said. So if you're using per share, stick to per share everything. God's
People,
own.
please
Fine.
mute your microphones.
So then you had N as 10. Okay. Then you have your F naught. F naught is the face value, which is still 10,000. Okay, I already said that the first value is the value you put that is reflected in the balance sheet. And I know that 1M is the figure reflected in the balance sheet. However, this 1M is the total, okay? But the per value, the value of a single preference share is 10,000. Okay, it's given here. So I'm using the per values of per share so that it is easier to compute. There's no hard work, but you could also consider using totals. But totals usually have another step you have to do. Okay, so to avoid that, just use the per value which are given. Okay, on another day they'll put here notes. They'll say that 11% preference shares, 1,000 shares. Okay, now if they say 1,000 shares, that's not the amount. It's not the per value. You're supposed to get the per value of it by just getting this 1M and divide by the number of shares so that you get the per value. Okay, so I hope we are together on that. I'm not confusing someone. So back to this, saying F naught is that, then you have P naught. It was given. This is the market value or the prevailing market price, which is 7,500. Okay, then yeah, then you're good to go. So then you substitute. So if you may substitute, okay, what is dividend? You put what the figure you've got, which is what's the figure? Is it 1,100? Kindly confirm. It should be 1,100. Then N is 10. Okay, is it 10? I hope it is. Yeah, they said it here that redeemable after 10 years. So N is 10. Then F naught still it is 10,000. Not 7,500. Someone can get us the value. What do you have? Yeah,